Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Chris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. Welcome, everybody, to Childcare Rockstar Radio. This is your host, Chris Murray, and I'm thrilled to have you back. And let me tell you a little bit about one of our sponsors for this podcast. This episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio is sponsored in part by Honest Buck Accounting. Is the financial side of your business taking you away from what you love about it? Honest Buck frees you up to get back to the business you love and grow it. Honest Buck Accounting is your full-service accounting partner. From payroll to forecasting, from budgeting to tax preparation, they offer a variety of services to meet your early childhood business as it grows. Their experienced team comes alongside your business to free you up and help you thrive. And to show their support of early childhood businesses, they're awarding a deserving center or school a $1,000 scholarship. Visit honestbuck.com/Chris Murray to register your center to win. How's everybody doing? Are you guys hanging in there during this crazy, crazy time in our nation's and world's history? This episode is airing at the end of August. We are nearing Labor Day. We are in the midst of back to school craziness. And I happen to know from working with many, many of you that it is an unprecedented time of chaos, stress, and frustration. Everything is changing all the time. School systems are a mess. Nobody knows which way is left, up, down, or right. And people are making decisions in our school administrations daily with regard to risk and risk assessment. And if cases blow up and things go on in different markets, what to do about it. So I just wanted to let you know that we have your back here at Childcare Rockstar Radio. It's not easy. It's one of the most stressful times in history. However, many of you, most of you that we're working with, are doing well in spite of it all. And you're continuing to push forward and innovate and rethink your business and look for ways and opportunities. And so I hope that you're able to do that with inspiration that you gain from this podcast. That's my number one goal for you. And I just wanted to reach out and let you know that you are on my mind because I know the very difficult things that you're going through every day. Today's guest is Sarah Cudnik, and she is the executive director and owner of Kids Work Chicago with 2 locations, due west of Wrigley Field in amazing Chicago, Illinois, one of my old stomping grounds. And you're going to love meeting Sarah. She's very sweet. She's a wonderful, beautiful, heart-centered person. And she shares a lot of insights about her personal story as well as professionally. And she grew up in a childcare environment because her mother started their schools. And she's been in it all of her life in early learning. So there's a lot of wisdom and fun and just cool experience in this podcast that you are going to listen into next. And I just wanted to welcome you into the episode. You're going to learn about leadership. You're going to learn about goal setting. You're going to learn about how to set your school apart with some actual differences. We dive into that, and I ask Sarah what are her unique benefits or unique selling points of her school. And she reveals several really good ones, and we talk through how to use those as differentiation points in her marketing. And also the fact that she has a beautiful website crafted by Grow Your Center. And you guys can go check it out and walk through it with us. And we talk about specific components in her website and in her web marketing. And so if you're thinking about a website redesign, I think you'll really enjoy this episode as well, because you can get some really good ideas from it that you can apply to your own school. So I wanted to mention also that we are in the midst of the launching of Childcare Success Summit tickets. So just a few days before this podcast aired, we went live to the world with our brand new Childcare Reimagined Virtual Success Summit 3-day event. And it is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, October 14th through 16th, 2020. And this is your official podcast invitation to join us. You must join us. The tickets, you will never find a more attractive ticket price at $197 per person. Normally, they are $697 up. And even though it is a virtual experience, you'll save a lot of money because you'll be able to attend from your home office and you won't have to travel. You could have more teammates, more directors attend together as a group experience. You can experience the top ever speakers that I've ever brought to the stage, including Mr. Simon Sinek and Mr. Trent Shelton. Now, they do have high levels of company because we've had Les Brown live with us at the summit, and we've had Glenn Morshower, and we've had many celebrities and great speakers. We've had Stedman Graham was our original keynote. He's associated with Oprah, and incredible guy. But we've had a high caliber of speakers. But this year tops it all with Mr. Simon Sinek, one of my favorites. I can't wait to meet him. And Trent Shelton is going to blow you away. So those are things that we have to look forward to, but you have to buy tickets. You must register. Now, I want you to go to childcaresuccesssummit.com. Time's a wasting. And let's get her on our calendar and let's go do this thing, October 14th to the 16th. It's not going to be a webinar. It's not going to be your grandmother's Zoom. This is much different of an experience. You will receive an event box, a swag box, if you will, and you will receive a lot of fun, energy, excitement, engagement, and breakout sessions, small group masterminding. That's one thing that we can feature on this platform virtually that we can't do live so much is we can break you out into groups of 4, 5, or 6 people, and you can make new friends throughout the entire 3-day experience. And people love that in our tribe. We do that a lot on our mastermind and quarterly events as we break you guys out. And you land in a virtual mastermind room, a little mini discussion roundtable, if you will, with new friends, with people that you don't know, and you get to introduce yourself and just share. And we could do that many, many times throughout our 3 days and focus you in on a question, a topic, a discussion topic, a homework assignment, an insight, an aha, a get to know you exercise of some nature. So you're going to love that. And so much more to share with you. So just please join us at the summit. And I look forward to seeing you there. childcaresuccesssummit.com. Tickets are $197 a piece. No limit on those. And we are expecting thousands of people at this event this year. So go get your tickets. All right. That is it. Let's dive in. Let's learn more about the beautiful and very lovely Sarah Cudnik, the owner of 2 locations, Kids Work Chicago. And let's dive in. Enjoy this episode. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I am thrilled to introduce you to a great lady on today's podcast, episode 81. It's Sarah Cudnik, and she is the executive director and owner of Kids Work Chicago. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Where are you right now? Are you in Chicago?
I am. I am in the office of one of our locations that isn't open right now, so it's nice and quiet.
Excellent. Tell us more about Kids Work. What is your program? What is it based on in terms of philosophy? How many locations, and that sort of thing?
Yep. We have 2 locations, Kids Work Chicago and Kids Work Chicago 2. They're both located in the North Center neighborhood of Chicago, which is just due west of Wrigley Field. We have room between our 2 centers for about 230 families. We are, we're a combination, I would say, of, play-based and academic. We like to work on incorporating as many different philosophies as we can to try and meet each child's need and really celebrate their individuality.
Fantastic. And you've had a lifelong journey in this field because your mom started an in-home daycare that you were attending as a little one. Is that accurate? Or tell us the story.
That is. My mom opened, it was at the beginning just Linda's house or Linda's place or whatever the kids would call it. It didn't really even have a name. And yes, I grew up in that home daycare. I'm an only child, and everybody always asks me what it was like. And I would say, I don't know, because I always had, 10 or 15 kids in the house with me. So I don't really know what it's like to be an only child. But it was amazing. It was always a step above, a notch, higher than everybody else's program. She always had an extra teacher. They spent tons of time outside. It was just it was a really special program.
And then when did she move it into a center, and just talk more about that journey? And then you ended up working with her, et cetera.
Yep. So after growing up in the daycare, had a love for working with children, and I went to Michigan State University and for teaching. And I was a public school teacher here in Chicago for a while, and then eventually in Colorado with my first husband, my late husband. We were living in Colorado because we'd been moved there for his job in Denver, and we had been there for about a year and a half. And we were really missing all of our friends here and our family in the Midwest. And so we were having one of those like late night conversations. What are we going to do? We want to have kids. We had just gotten married not too long before that. And we don't want to be so far away when we have babies. And my husband just sort of on a whim said, do you think your mom would move to Chicago and open a daycare? I was like, I don't know. Let's ask her. So we called her, and she was, ready for a change at the time. And she said yes. So we had this like whirlwind, we came back and looked at houses, and we ended up just starting with an in-home daycare. And that was in a really great neighborhood, very close to here, just sort of one neighborhood over. It was wildly popular because there weren't a lot of other facilities like it in the area. And we only had room for 12 kids, and we quickly had a wait list of over 100. So it was sort of a natural growth. And my husband was very business oriented, very motivated, and he met a realtor who introduced us to the developer, who took a chance on us and built our first center, which has room for 98 students.
Okay.
We, in the process of we had 2 babies right before we opened this first center. My babies are 14 months apart, so it was a fun adventure. And then we quickly had a wait list here again. And so the developer asked if we wanted to move across the street and open a second location. And we said yes. So Marcus ended up passing away about 6 months before we opened that center across the street. So that was a big, big thing for us. But we powered through, and we got it open, and it was, full very quickly.
So something that a lot of people don't know about me is that I am also what they call an Irish twin. So my mother experienced what you experienced, which is 14 months apart, can be quite challenging depending on the nature of the babies. And my brother and I were only 13 months apart. And so when my mom told her grandma, my great grandma, that she was pregnant again at 3.5 months, my great grandmother said, "Well, dear, it's a little close." That's it. It's a little close. So, and she was afraid to tell her mom, my grandma. She was like deathly afraid because she knew that she would be like, "I can't believe you got pregnant again so quickly. What are you doing?" Anyway, so you went through that yourself. And so now how old are your children?
They are, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Going to be 12 and going to be 13. So it's just, I don't know, time flies so fast. So fast, yeah.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
So, and did you have 2 boys, 2 girls, or a mix?
2 boys, Nicholas and Alex.
Okay.
And yeah, they're great. They're very different. One's a musician, loves to play the guitar, and the other's, loves anything, math related and money related. So yeah, they're super fun and they keep me busy. And I recently, actually last year I got married, and this year I became a step grandma. So my life is evolving continuously.
Fun. Well, congratulations on both counts.
Thank you.
And you're awful young to be a step grandma, but of course you know that. And so, you never know how life is going to bring you joy. My last episode, I interviewed Linda Hassipis, who's a fellow Academy member, and she is living with her long-term boyfriend, and he has a 2-year-old. So she's at the opposite end of the spectrum with regard to, kids and relationships. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Wow. So, what is a fun fact, a little known fact about yourself that you can share with the listeners?
A little known fact. Oh, I guess it's not little known, but the most, I love to sing karaoke. That's like I love to sing, but karaoke, yeah, it's my weakness. So
cool.
Yeah.
And what's one of your go-to karaoke songs?
I'm a big fan of Janis Joplin. Bobby McGee is that's my all-time favorite.
That's your jam.
Yeah, that's my jam.
I love it. Very, very cool. I can see you singing that. So tell us more about Kids Work Chicago. I'm actually familiar with what neighborhood you're in because I lived in Wrigleyville right out of college. I lived at Roscoe and Halstead, halfway between Roscoe and Clark. Anyway, and you're west of there. So tell us more about what sets your school apart. What are kind of like your unique selling points or the things that you bring forward in your marketing?
Yeah. I would say that our level of distinction, we are always sort of above and beyond in all things. So organization, customer service. We are one of the only family-owned, small business-owned facilities in Chicago that always has a playground and a parking lot and, the indoor large muscle play area. And it's kind of unheard of to have those spaces in the city. A lot of childcare facilities are more storefront, they visit neighborhood parks and that type of thing. But, we just are a little bit, ahead in that sense that we have our own space for play. We don't have to visit other parks. We have our own indoor play area, which is really, really nice. But I would say just our attention to detail and our ability to really support our families. It's one of our big core values is that support. Parents of young children need a lot of support and they need a lot of understanding and they need a lot of education. And so not only do we see ourselves as, really giving that support to the children, which is just natural for us, but we also do that with the parents. And I think that they really appreciate it and they feel very much a part of our family, our group because of that.
What are some of the ways that you do that with parents or for parents?
Lots of listening. I think it starts from the very beginning, like when you talk about phone calls, I don't know if our girls have always been asking the exact same questions that you would like them to answer on their phone calls, but we've always had that from the very beginning, just that, sort of level of like almost education. We're here to educate you about childcare in general. And if you choose Kids Work, that's great. But let's just talk about what you need and what your family, sort of structure is like and what would be most beneficial for your family. And then we can talk about how Kids Work might be able to help you. But it's really nice. Most of the time we get these either brand new parents or moms that aren't even parents yet. They haven't even had a baby yet. And they call in this sort of panic of like, I don't even know what to do about daycare and what is daycare. And And we really just are this like smiling face and voice on the other line that I think has always taken the time to listen. And if it's a family that we find isn't going to be able to afford our rates, we are very helpful about helping them find someplace else. And then once they are a Kids Work family, just a really strong connection between, information sharing and, again, listening and understanding what they need and want, and giving them that time to communicate with us and the teachers, and then really valuing their child, making sure that, we just naturally do, but we want them to know how much we value their child. It's like nothing makes a parent happier than to feel like somebody is really like, excited about their kid, and that's the way our teachers are. They find all the children's different little personalities so interesting, and they love to share with the parents at the end of the day. And I think that's one of our big things, is just letting everybody be who they are and helping them with, what they need help with.
Well, that's fantastic. What I really love of what you just said is, you have a natural rapport building, very calm way about you, Sarah. And I'm sure that as the leader of your school, that flows down to your leaders and to the people that answer your phone. But it's a very non-threatening, educational, consultative, rapport building conversation. And I love that you frame it up as, let's dig in and share some things to help you understand how early childhood education benefits the child, and let's just learn more about your child and you. And then if it works out that you want to enroll at Kids Work, that's great, but that's not going to be the first aim of this conversation. And so I think parents can really kind of let their guard down when you do that. Mm-hmm. And there's some magic that takes place there. So I think that is just brilliant. I love it. And I love that you said a smile on the face, as you can like really feel that smile and that heartfelt approach when you're calling your school, because that warmth is really felt through the phone. And I love that. So that's really, really good. And I think it's cool that your facility offers all those experiences and, conveniences, if you will, of a parking lot, as silly as it is in downtown Chicago. You're right. It's rare to find indoor play spaces, a nice outdoor playground that's on the facility, and parking and all of those things. So that's a huge win. And then of course the family owned story. So what's cool about your website, a couple cool things, and you had that website redone by our sister company, Grow Your Center. Great website, and I'll toot Grow Your Center's horn on that. And you did a great job. And Bruce actually said that you actually had a really beautiful website coming in before you went with Grow Your Center. So you've been a proponent of having these marketing assets for your company for a while now. Do you come to the job with marketing expertise and background, or is it something that you enjoy, or it's just kind of somebody else on the team is doing that? Who's really kind of like your marketing guru?
No, I think that I have sort of visual acuity in my family. My dad's an architect. My mom's very artistic, and I'm not very creative, but I'm very visual. I really, enjoy that. And I will say that the woman who does our, all of our marketing and our logo and all of that stuff, she just really gets us and understands us. And so she did a great job with all of those visuals too. She was the one who really took on that website. It was sort of a kit website, that just sort of looks, like everybody else's. And she really made it, made it ours. But Bruce also, I feel like did that as well. I was worried about losing the visual, we all were, of our original site.
Right.
And so he assured me that we didn't need to just pick it up and turn it over and shake it out. We could just sort of smooth it in. And I think it really, he did a great job.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So give the web address to the listeners so if they want to follow along with us as we talk about it.
It's www.kids, Kids, work, WORK, Chicago.com.
Okay. Easy peasy. Kids Work Chicago, just like your name.
Yep.
.com. And so if you guys go there, you'll see some really nice photography and copy and headlines and unique benefits and unique selling points as you scroll down the page. But right near the top, you'll see the core values listed. So your core values communicate to visitors to your site that you believe in integrity, respect, support, positivity, balance, enlightenment, and distinction. And you have a little icon and a little sub descriptor under each one, which is really, really sweet and endearing and powerful all at the same time. So talk a little bit about how you crafted those core values. Did you go through the process that we kind of teach, or did you and your mom, just tell us the story.
We originally did have sort of a we believe statement, quite some time ago when we first started our first website and our first business. And it hasn't really changed. But the one thing that I read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. We had been going through kind of a tough time, and actually a parent who is also a business owner was very sweet. And she asked if she could sit down and talk to me. And she said, I just want to recommend a few things for you. And it's just because I want to help. And she recommended that book, and she recommended a few other books because she just wanted to sort of help me pull myself out of that hole that we were in. And so the Start With Why really got me thinking about why we do what we do. And I started thinking about the longevity of our business and wanting to make sure that we set our new or refocused core values on something that we could carry on, into other branches if we decided to do that. We have a want to possibly go off and do a little bit of therapeutic work with children. We have a lot of children in our centers typically that need support, and so we'd really like to provide that. And I wanted to make sure, Simon Sinek talks about it's, this is something that you could do forever in many different ways. And so for me, it was the positivity was the center, the core of it. And then the support and the balance, those were so important to me. I feel like balance for families and balance for staff and balance for the program and balance for the world. And so we really set those. That's why they're kind of in the middle. And then the others really help us to, make those happen. But it was that book. And then we did a whole day with our staff. It's hard when you have so many employees to really, you want them to buy in and want them to believe in it. And so we did a whole planning, very similar to what you recommend. We did it shortly before I started, using your program, where the teachers all talked about what does it look like when we're doing our best work and when we're our best teachers and when we're happy and when we're, productive. And then we ended up with basically just a bunch of words, and phrases. And we as admin took those and developed them into, we sort of paired a bunch up and matched them up. So we found duplicates and then filtered them into, which word is easiest to, put together and put on paper. And this is what we came up with. We actually voted. There were more to begin with, and the staff voted. And this is what we came up with. And so, but I really feel like we provide families with young children with positivity, support, and balance. And we do that through integrity, enlightenment, distinction, and respect. And so, and it's been so helpful because everything we do from the very beginning all the way down to the end, stems from these interviewing and hiring all the way down to releasing somebody or letting somebody go. It's all based on this. And now that we have these words and they're in the back of everybody's mind and on our website and on the wall and that type of thing, we use them a lot, and it helps so much. With those difficult conversations with staff members are a lot easier when it's, we all decided on these core values, and this is how we're all being, judged. It's not my opinion. It's how we all are upholding these values. So it's been really helpful for us.
One thing that some of our members are doing to take that even further in their culture development of their school is they are being very specific about the behaviors, that the desired behaviors represented by each core value.
Yep.
And then asking your new teachers when you onboard them, or even when you interview them, this can help you find A players in the bunch, is that you can say, tell me what you perceive A player behaviors to be. So give me some examples of how you think A players behave. And then young teachers who haven't really had much workforce experience might say something like showing up to work on time or things of that nature, and then you can show them, no, that's really kind of a basis of like C-level behavior. What we're looking for in A players is, and you can like literally show them what those behaviors look like at that A player level. And so that's kind of a cool way to even take it to the next level. You mentioned that you have a wall or a place in your school where the core values are on the wall. Tell me more about that.
They are posted just sort of, simply in many places on the wall. We don't have, we had planned on creating, some sort of like really nice display in the entry for the families and then again in the lounge, and we haven't gotten around to that yet.
Okay.
So it's just very rudimentary, it's just printed out on paper at this point, but, that's something that we would love to work into a lot more places in our building, especially sort of like right when you walk in the door, again, in any staff places, classrooms, all of that.
Yeah, a lot of our folks have them as culture walls in the entryway, a spot so that you can do a whole display there. And so I look forward to seeing you develop that. That's a fun project and always room for improvement. And that's great. So I think too, it's cool because one thing that preschools have that no other business has is you have the opportunity to have people walk through your facility twice a day, every day. And so, in non-COVID times. Yeah. And so with that, you can literally use the walls of your program to remind them of core components that you want them to constantly be reminded of. And most businesses don't have that opportunity. So that's why I think it's so powerful for a school to utilize the real estate of their walls in that way, instead of just I find those parent boards, while they're usually required by licensing and they're informational, oftentimes they can be so boring. So I think having other more exciting, fun, visually stimulating stuff, especially because you have that visual background, I'm sure you can get quite creative with it. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Simon Sinek.
I know, I'm so excited.
Because this episode of the podcast is timed with the launch of selling tickets to our new Childcare Reimagined virtual event. It's the Summit Reimagined. It's a 3-day virtual experience featuring Simon Sinek, and that's all new. And we're just starting to sell tickets to that event, even though it's just 60 days away. So I'm glad you brought him up because we are featuring him as our top keynote speaker, and we're super excited to meet him and see him. And you will have an opportunity as an Academy member to submit a question for him to read at the summit, because what we're doing with him is based on his book, The Infinite Game, which is his most recent book, and doing a moderated Q&A. So I'm literally going to be drawing questions from a compiled list from our Academy folks, since we're going to treat you guys as VIPs, which you are, and you get the opportunity to have your question along with your name, the name of your school, and where you're from, and ask him that question. So you'll be featured as a mini celebrity if your question is chosen. So that's awesome. How we're planning to do that. So that'll be fun. So be thinking about any questions that you might want to ask him. And he's trying to focus this session on The Infinite Game because that is his most recent book. And we're going to be talking about how to make the ultimate pivot in business and in life during this pandemic, and how thinking differently about your business and shifting it or innovating it or keeping parts of it the same that are, but just like slightly recrafting them or what have you, can open up all new avenues of business growth, development, and excitement and creativity for you as a business owner and leader. So that's really the focus of his topic. So with regard to that, you could start thinking about what question you want to ask him. Okay. But for those of you guys listening, if you want to come to the summit, you can. I'll give a link at the end of this episode where you guys can get tickets, and they're very, very affordable, and we're going to just have a blast. So with that, let me shift to asking you about your goals. So you are in the middle of this pandemic with all of us. You're in a city, you're in an urban environment. What are some goals that you can share about where you're headed over the next 6 to 12 months? And it might feel strange to be thinking that way because a lot of us in this pandemic have been just living day to day, just taking the next hurdle, the next hurdle, the next hurdle. So the reason why I intentionally want to ask you about goals is because pulling us all back from this living this crazy day, this hectic year that we've had in pandemic life, right? We want to pull ourselves back from thinking pandemic, and we want to shift back to goals, vision, where am I headed in my life, and frame it out for people. So if you could share a few things about, and maybe you don't have goals, Sarah, right now, because you do feel like you're being pulled in so many directions, but share a little bit about where you think your business is headed or you personally are headed.
So I would say that one of my largest goals is not necessarily like a destination, but it's the financial understanding and financial organization of the business. So as I mentioned, my husband, Marcus, was a financial advisor, and he was the business part of this. My mom and I had our, she was the developmental, I was the learning, and he was the money and the business. And so, as I said, I managed to get, the businesses up and running, and I managed to keep them going. And I think I did a great job with all the kids and the families and the teachers. But I didn't have any time after he passed to really understand or learn about what he did. And I fumbled. I've been fumbling for quite some time, to be honest. And so being a part of your group has taught me. I also am a member of another group, Vistage, which has been great too. Yeah. Being a part of both of those groups has taught me that I need and I want to wrap my head around and my hands around this, financial part of my business. And so I am just sort of chipping away at a million different things, and it's all the way from my accountant just finished reorganizing my chart of accounts so they match that of the academy, so I can start comparing all my numbers with everybody else's numbers. I'm moving banks and, bringing on a bookkeeper and learning how to use QuickBooks and just working on a bunch of different things. So that's my main goal, is really just to understand all of that and to be really comfortable with it and confident. At the same time, we want to expand cautiously, obviously, but we need to sort of venture out of this neighborhood. Like I said, we started with the very first center here, and then we just went across the street. And so we know daycare right here on these 4 corners, but we would like to, once we get sort of settled with financial goals and, we'd like to start looking at other areas to expand within. Like I said, we also have a real sort of like in our heart goal to provide more support for children who, struggle in the typical classroom and need additional time and resources. And I think because, just our general nature, I think we would really be great at that. And I think that pairing along with a a therapy group would be something that we have always wanted to do. And just really working on our culture. That's my other big goal. And that probably comes after the money and before expansion, sort of right there in the middle. I would say the culture it's just as important as the money. I'm trying to quickly get that financial stuff under my belt, but I'm also working on the culture. But once I, have a little more time, I'd really like to dig into that a little more, because I want to make sure that I want 5-star ratings on Glassdoor and Indeed. I just want our teachers to just absolutely love coming to work and love being a part of kids' work. And, we're right there at like a 3.5, a 4, and that's okay, but that's not where I want to be. So that's my goal, is to just really make this a great, like, the place to work where everybody's just like, I want to work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you read Leaders Eat Last by Simon?
I have not. No, not yet.
Okay. So that one, for the listeners and for you, Sarah, might be one. That's a great culture building book. And then 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is a great one. Also, Built on Values. You've got your core values down now. If you haven't done your behaviors yet, like we were talking about earlier, that's a great one for culture as well. And I think a lot of it is the onboarding piece. It's setting up expectations. It's hiring people with, all of those things, all those assets built out. So from the moment they find you all the way through till the moment that they leave you, they get that amazing culture piece. And I love it. It's not, it's definitely a huge ongoing labor of love to be working on your culture long-term. But I think you might love the Leaders Eat Last by Simon, because it's really just about empathy. And so I love that you said that. And I would love to see you expand more and being able to impact more children in the wonderful Chicagoland area or wherever you may go. So that's very, very cool. I'm glad that you have that clarity, though. The clarity about Marcus. And I'm also just want to say I'm sorry that you went through that. And I'm sure it was very difficult for you with 2 children and go through the loss of a husband who is a linchpin of success and business for this school. And then you lost him. And so I'm sure you went through a lot of personal turmoil and growth in that. And so I just want to honor that. You're a strong person. I could tell.
Yeah.
You've been through.
I just want to say thank you to you, because I have learned so much, and my team. And I guess another one of my goals is just to crush that list of things that you've got for us to do. And I'm working on it. I'm chipping away at it. But that's I've learned so much, and it's been so great. And I finally feel, and I'm sure a lot of other providers feel this way too, that, once they become a part of this group, they finally have like a community and a family of people trying to accomplish the same things they are, that are on their side. It was a really lonely place for a long time, because we just had ourselves, our directors and and now we've got people to ask questions of, and it's just amazing how much growth and change you can implement when you have people to bounce things off of and ideas popping around, and it's just exponential. So we love it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that. Thanks for sharing that. I feel the exact same way, and I just get to watch all of those light bulb moments and that support and that networking and that love that you guys all have for each other and that we have for you. And I can't wait till we can all be together again in person. There will be a lot of hugging and a lot of tears, I am sure, because we've just been jonesing for it. So it's been an amazing ride for me to be able to lead this group of almost 250 Academy clients. And we're grateful that you're part of the group. It's been great. And you're an amazing implementer. So what I've heard about you, because I did a little asking around about you before I came on the podcast, with your coach, Coach Ben, and with Bruce and other people you've worked with, is you're an implementer. They were like, kind of like Sarah will follow the asset checklist model. If you just tell her, give her the tools of what she's supposed to build out, she will go do it, and not really question it and not, drag her feet about it and not procrastinate about it. So that speaks a lot to you and to your character. And, the fact that you're just like, I'm going to build out the asset checklist. Like, this is what you do. These are the building blocks. It works. Let's go do it. So I love that kind of that no nonsense approach.
Yeah. I just wish I could do more. It's, you try and fit as much as you can in, and
yeah,
it just only goes as fast as you
yeah. Well, and again, right now we're all in the middle of a pandemic. So I think we also have to be kind to each other and kind to ourselves, most importantly, and know that the stress that we're living through is unprecedented, and just take care of each other and our, our well-being and our mental health. So you can't push it too fast. And actually those asset checklists are really designed to be something that you would get done over 2 or 3 years, really. Not, I don't know hardly anybody that's gotten it all done in 1 year. So give yourself some kindness on that.
I will. Thank you.
So with that, looking back in your journey so far, and one other thing about your website that I wanted to say at Kids Work Chicago is if you guys scroll down, you'll see a little bit you'll see a picture of Sarah and a picture of her mom and the story of the, the mother-daughter team. And I love that, because the more you can share that story, people will be naturally attracted to that. And that because you started out with a school of 12 and you got to 100 and you're like, okay, I think we should expand to a center. So, the more you tell that story multi-generationally, the more people will be drawn into it. And so you do that on your website, and it's fantastic. So you guys can read about that there. And what if you had to look back in time and maybe pick one thing that you might do differently if you had, a 2020 vision backwards, Sarah, what would that be? Does anything come to mind?
I would go right back to that money and finance thing. I think it's really easy to lean on somebody when you have them, and to allow them to just and be sort of like blissfully ignorant about, their tasks. And so right now with my new bookkeeper, I've told him that, eventually I know that it would be best if he takes it over, but I want to learn it first. I don't feel comfortable having him just take it over, and I want to understand it, and I want to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. And so I kind of wish I would have done that sooner. Mm-hmm. I just, I think I would have felt more confident and more comfortable in my own shoes as a business owner if I would have done that, just to really, I think I used the excuse that I was a teacher by trade and that I wasn't a businesswoman or a finance major. And I should have just dove into it a lot sooner and really understood it, because it's not as bad as I thought it was now that I'm actually doing it. So that would be my only sort of advice to my younger self if I were. I really love everything about our journey. It's been amazing, and the people that we've had along the way, and the fact that I got to open it with Marcus and my mom, and now my new husband, Greg, is so supportive and so helpful, and my kids were here, so it's so dear to my heart that my babies were here. So yeah, it's been great.
It's awesome. My final question for you is, how do you define a childcare rock star?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. Well, I guess the first thing I would say is somebody who really stays true to what they know is right, what they know is right for the children and the families, and that really strong integrity, and always does what's best for the children and the families first and foremost. And then I would say somebody who just gives it their all. I think everybody's got a different amount of energy, a different amount of drive, and a different amount of attention. And but if you're just doing all you can do, and you're just taking steps forward, and you're in the process, you're making kids and families and hopefully teachers Sister Sue happy, then I think that makes you a rock star. Everybody's got a different story, but as long as you're doing the best you can do, it makes you a rock star.
Yeah, I love that. Do the right thing and give it your all. Yeah. That pretty much sums it up. Yep. Sarah Cudnik, thank you so much for being here with me today on Childcare Rockstar Radio. It's been wonderful to get to know you better and get to know a little bit about your personal story. And you're an inspiration. And I just appreciate your time. And thanks to everybody listening to the podcast. We will all see each other along with Simon at the Childcare Success Summit, hopefully in mid-October. And any other things that you want to say before we close?
No, just thank you. And thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks again. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We love having you with us, and we will see y'all next time. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.